The sun was just dipping behind the hills when the millionaire finally arrived at his sprawling ranch, expecting the quiet solitude he had grown accustomed to, but what he found inside his property stunned him. There, in the living room, was a single black mother struggling to care for her 3 energetic toddlers. Her hands were full, her eyes tired, yet there was a resilience about her that immediately caught his attention. He had never expected to walk into a scene like this on his own land, and for a moment, he just stood there, unsure of what to do next. The children laughed and cried in a chaotic mix, running around the open space, completely unaware of the unusual visitor in their home. He could see the exhaustion on their mother's face, the constant juggling of bottles, diapers, and tiny shoes. Something about the way she managed everything on her own sparked a mixture of admiration and concern in him. As he stepped closer, ready to speak, he realized this encounter wasn't just a random interruption. It might change both their lives forever. But what he did next shocked everyone, leaving the mother and her triplets frozen in disbelief. The story was just beginning, and nothing would ever be the same. He finally found his voice, clearing his throat as the mother looked up, startled but wary. I wasn't expecting anyone here," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. He noticed the way she moved, every action precise, every glance alert, like she had been through struggles that had taught her to stay sharp, even when life was overwhelming. He realized she was more than just a mother. She was a survivor. The millionaire had come to this ranch seeking peace after years of running a business empire. But this unexpected encounter stirred something he hadn't anticipated. As he watched the triplets crawl, toddle, and chatter, he began to wonder how a woman like her had ended up here, far from family or support. Questions raced through his mind. Who was she? How did she manage everything alone? And most importantly, why was she here, on his property? There was a story behind those tired eyes and constant movement, a story that begged to be understood. He could feel the tension in the air, an unspoken barrier between them that neither wanted to cross too quickly. And as he took a cautious step forward, ready to speak again, he sensed that the next words could change the course of everything, but what he said next would leave them both stunned. He finally stepped fully into the room, careful not to startle her or the triplets, who immediately stopped their play and stared curiously at the stranger in front of them. The mother instinctively moved closer to her children, protective yet polite. Are you the owner of this ranch?" she asked, suspicion lacing her words. He nodded, noticing how wary she was, how every small movement seemed measured. It wasn't just about the ranch, it was about trust, about safety. As they spoke, he started piecing together fragments of her story. She had come here searching for work, for a place where her children could grow safely, away from the chaos of the city. But how she ended up in a space that technically wasn't hers remained a mystery. From his perspective, the situation was complicated. This was his property. Yet he could see the immense struggle she was facing. The way she juggled 3 toddlers alone, managing every meal, diaper, and tantrum with barely a moment to breathe. In that moment, the millionaire realized there were multiple layers to the conflict: legal boundaries, moral responsibility, and human empathy all tangled together. And as he considered what actions he could take, he noticed something unusual: a small, hidden corner of the ranch, clearly altered and personalized, suggesting she hadn't just wandered in by chance. The tension thickened, and he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever decision he made next would have consequences far beyond just that afternoon. He took a slow step closer, trying to bridge the gap between curiosity and caution, while the mother instinctively gathered the triplets into her arms. The children clung to her, sensing the tension in the room, their wide eyes darting between the 2 adults. The millionaire could feel the weight of the moment pressing down, as if the ranch itself was holding its breath. Every second stretched, thick with uncertainty. "I don't mean to intrude," he said carefully, his eyes scanning the small living space that had clearly been made into a home, despite its temporary appearance. She hesitated, then nodded slightly, as if deciding whether to trust him more to hold her ground. Her voice was calm but firm. "This is my home, at least for now. My children and I have nowhere else." He could hear the exhaustion and defiance intertwined in her words, a story of struggle, survival, and quiet determination. As they spoke, he noticed more signs that she had made herself at home: tiny drawings on the walls, makeshift beds, and even a small vegetable patch outside. It was clear she had plans, dreams, and a life she was desperately trying to protect. Yet the reality of the situation was unavoidable. This was his property, and he had the power to decide what happened next. The tension reached its peak when the youngest of the triplets toddled toward him, holding out a tiny hand. In that instant, he froze, realizing the choices he made in the next moments could change the lives of all 4 of them forever. Everything: the mother's struggle, the children's innocence, and the stakes of the ranch hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of an impossible decision. Just as he reached out slowly toward the tiny hand, a sudden sound from outside froze them both: a low rumble of engines and the sharp crunch of tires on gravel. The mother instinctively pulled the triplets closer, eyes wide with fear and suspicion. He turned toward the noise, heart racing, only to see a sleek black SUV pulling up the driveway. 2 men stepped out, sharply dressed, their faces unreadable but their presence commanding. Something about them didn't feel casual. Before he could process who they were, the mother whispered under her breath, "They're here for me." Her words sent a chill down his spine. Questions flooded his mind. Who were these people? Why would they come here? To his ranch? To find her? And what exactly had she been hiding in her seemingly ordinary life? The triplets clung tighter to her, sensing the tension even if they didn't understand it. The millionaire realized that whatever choice he was about to make, whether to help protect or confront, was suddenly complicated by outside forces he hadn't anticipated. His mind raced as he tried to grasp the bigger picture. This wasn't just about a single mother on his ranch anymore. Something deeper, something dangerous, was unfolding. As the SUV's doors slammed and the men approached, the air seemed to thicken with unspoken threats, and the stakes became terrifyingly real. Every second now mattered, and the choices he made next could change all their lives forever. The 2 men reached the porch, their expressions hard, but before they could say a word, the millionaire stepped forward, his presence commanding the space. "Stop," he said firmly, his voice echoing across the yard. The mother's eyes widened, hope flickering in them. As she clutched the triplets closer, the men hesitated, and in that moment he realized the true power he held, not as a wealthy ranch owner, but as someone willing to protect those in need. "I don't know what your business is with her," he continued, "but this ends here, not on my land." His words seemed to surprise even the mother, who had never witnessed someone stand up so decisively for her. Slowly, one of the men stepped back, revealing a folder they had been carrying. Inside were legal notices, threats, debts, and claims that had been silently shadowing her life. But he didn't let fear control him. With one decisive move, he tore up the papers, signaling that she and her children were safe under his protection. The mother blinked in disbelief, tears forming as the tension finally began to lift. The triplets giggled, sensing the shift, and ran to the millionaire, who smiled warmly, despite the adrenaline still coursing through him. Just as relief began to settle over them, the mother pulled him aside and whispered, "You saved us, but there's something you need to know." He froze. The twist wasn't over. The real danger, and the deeper secret behind why she had come to his ranch, was only just beginning to reveal itself. He looked at her, curiosity and concern mingling in his eyes. "What is it?" he asked gently. She took a deep breath, finally sharing the truth. She had been hiding a small inheritance left by a distant relative, something that had drawn the attention of the people who had come after her. She had fled to his ranch for safety, hoping no one would find her or the children. The revelation explained everything: the urgency, the hidden corner she had made in the ranch, and the reason the strangers had appeared so suddenly. Without understanding her story, he offered more than just protection. He arranged for her to have a safe place to live on the ranch, a fresh start for her and the triplets. Slowly, laughter returned to the small home as the children explored the open fields and played without fear. Over time, trust grew between them, and the mother began to see that help could come from unexpected places. In the end, the millionaire realized that wealth wasn't just about money, it was about using it to make a real difference. The mother learned that courage, honesty, and resilience could create new opportunities even in the darkest times. Together, they found safety, hope, and a sense of family that neither had expected when their paths first crossed. The ranch, once silent, was now alive with laughter, love, and the promise of brighter days ahead.